Yes. This is the one with me being in big screen. Okay. Let's talk about the games that we played that started with the letter H. We're making progress. We're getting through them. If I go into, let's see here. Probably the easiest way for me to do this is to go to my YouTube channel and into my playlists and look at the Playing Through Steam library and see what videos I've recently uploaded. Definitely not a plug in any way, shape, or form. Aha! Okay, so during the H's, we also purchased some games. There was a Steam summer sale going on, I believe, and I got a couple of things. As well as there was a Stories of Pride Humble Bundle that I thought I would grab. So, we have H and more. The first game that we played was Hack and Slash. And that was the game where when you hit something with your, like, USB sword, you could change its behavior. You could, like, just say, your HP is 0, and then it would just die. Or you'd be like, you're friendly now. Or you would be like, you're unlocked. It was an interesting concept, but I didn't really enjoy it in execution. Hacknet, kind of the same thing. It was a hacking game, get into people's computers with code. I felt like it explained the code you were doing even less well than the game we just played. I didn't particularly like it. And it was, most of the time you're just looking at a black screen with text, which can be kind of visually boring. Whereas Human Resources, you have the funny looking dudes and they're moving stuff from left to right, so it feels like you're accomplishing something. I don't know. After that, we took our detour for the Stories of Pride Humble Bundle. We had Arcadia Fallen, which was a visual novel type of game. Seems like it has an interesting story and characters. The puzzle aspect of it, I felt like was almost not even worth talking about. Like, the puzzles were so easy, but I was also at the very beginning of the game, so it's possible that they could get harder. We played for long enough to meet all of the romanceable characters. They all seemed different, interesting. I liked the different magic kind of systems they had. It just seemed really interesting. I'll probably go back to that one. After that, we did Coffee Talk, Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. It's a visual novel where people are just talking about what's going on in your lives, and also the fantasy creatures just live in among humans, and it's just normal because it's been that way since the beginning of time. And from the little bit that I played, it seems like they can then use those stories as allegories for prejudice and things like that. The little night that opened the scene, there was a banshee who wanted to be an opera singer, and people were prejudiced against her and felt like only sirens can be the best opera singer. So that was an interesting sort of thing. I liked the game enough that when the original Coffee Talk came available on sale, I went ahead and bought that. I figure I'll play that offline sometime, but yeah, because this one was the sequel. After that, we played Cobalt Core. It's a game that happened to be on sale, and so I got it. And it I had seen it on Vasco the Gamer's stream. If you've never seen Vasco, he's a fun streamer. I think he's on hiatus right now, though, because he's moving. But presumably, he'll pick it back up when he is back. And it was a fun little deck builder with horizontal tactics, because you have these spaceships, and you have to move them back and forth to, like, avoid people's missiles, but, like, hit them with your missiles. And it's cute little animal characters, and the hints of maybe a darker story underneath as to why it's a roguelite and they keep getting reborn. Yeah, I think I will be playing it quite a bit in the future. Crypt of the Necrodancer? Not so much. It was a critically acclaimed game on sale that my brother had recommended to me, but it turns out he had recommended the Nintendo version, which I don't know if maybe the Nintendo version is easier. It did have accessibility settings so that I could turn off the flashies, which was very nice and good, and all game makers should do that. But it was so hard. It was so hard as to be unfun for me. I think I don't like my games to be that level of difficult. And even when I was using the Bard or whatever, so I didn't have to keep in rhythm, it was still really difficult for me to just try to figure out what's happening. So I don't think I'll come back to that one. Good game, not for me. Griftlands was a game that I got, I think, in that same Humble Bundle, maybe? Or it might have been... Where did I get Griftlands? That's a good question. Crypt of the Necrodancer. Yeah, I'm just going through all of the games and reviewing them. If I go to my order history, I can see purchase history. Well, if I can type. If I can type is always the question. I bought Griftlands at the same time as I bought Cobalt Core and Crypt of the Necrodancer. So this was not part of the Humble Bundle. This was part of, you know, Steam Summer Sale or something. And my description on the video is pretty much how I feel about it. Griftlands. What do you get when you put together a visual novel and a deck builder? Something less than the sum of its parts. I know that some people really enjoy Griftlands. I could not get into it. I felt like the deck build... It was interesting that it gave you non-violent deck building options. But if I wanted to play a non-violent deck builder, I would probably just play Battle Bands, honestly. I enjoy that one a little bit more. This one, I don't know if I just didn't get it, but like the story didn't seem super engaging either. It was like a post-apocalyptic and you wanted revenge on the guy that enslaved you and stuff, but like, yeah, I just didn't get into it. Not sure why. Following that was Dragon Quest Builders. We really took quite a side quest from the H's. Dragon Quest Builders 2, my brother got it for me for my birthday, so I figured I would give it a shot. I have heard it compared to Minecraft, which I have never played. My thought, kind of as I was playing it, was I don't know why I would play this instead of Stardew Valley. Now, Dragon Quest Builders 2, I believe, is older than Stardew Valley. It predates it, I think. But if I'm in the mood for that kind of, like, I want to improve my environment and stuff like that, I would probably do Stardew Valley. And I think that's because I like having the rails on a little bit more. Dragon Quest Builders 2, seemingly the really good thing about it is that it gives you freedom. Yeah, there are quests that you have to do at the beginning, but they let you do a lot of different things. And Super Ace is also giving commentary. Griftlands is very much a roguelite, so likely one of those. Minecraft is about as accessible as a first-person player game gets, by the way. Builders 1 predates Stardew, but by less than you think. Okay, so I guess it doesn't predate it, but it seems to have, like, a different audience. It just gives you a lot of freedom. And then I finally purchased Balatro because they finally enabled accessibility settings. And I played that for 2 days in a row, I think. Or no, I played it a long time. I played it a long time and then I played it again later. So that kind of, I came back to it on another day. So that kind of gives you an idea of, I've also played the game off stream. I think it's probably going to be one of my favorites. Makes sense. It's a deck builder. It's a very popular deck builder. Yeah, it makes sense that I was into it. But I honestly don't know if I like it better than Aces and Adventures, to be honest. And Aces and Adventures does not have the large fan base that Balatro has. I think it's because Balatro is more simple on the front face of it. It's simple at the beginning, and then it kind of on-ramps you. Whereas I think Aces and Adventures is more complex at the beginning, almost feels like you're playing a D&D game, but then the combat is done with both a poker deck that is not changeable, unlike Balatro, and a abilities deck, which is changeable. And unlike Balatro, where you are drafting the cards during the run, Aces and Adventures is constructed. So you build your abilities deck before you go on the run. And there's a very limited number of things that you can add during the run. You can upgrade your abilities. There are some consumables, but your abilities deck is static for your run. At least in the modes that I've played. So that's kind of a big difference between the two. But I initially thought they were going to be a lot more similar than they were. And in that way of constructed versus drafting, they're not similar at all. Even though they both use poker for combat, if you want to call it that. So, but yeah, I enjoyed Balatro. Then we finally got back to the H's. We played a game called Harmony's Odyssey, which it was a cute little puzzle game. Honestly seemed like it would be good for kids. Not that the puzzles weren't difficult. It was just very cutesy and didn't seem to have much of a plot, and it had multiple difficulty levels as well. And the easier difficulty level I think would be good for kids, but I don't think I'll revisit it. Heaven Will Be Mine. This one was part of that Stories of Pride Humble bundle, but now in alphabetical order here. I put in the description, content, strong language and innuendo, apparently. This was a game that was meant for people who can look for lesbian subtext. And look, I'm bisexual, but I think there's a reason why I've never actually dated a woman. I think that they communicate on levels that I just don't understand with my I don't know if it's the autism or just being socially awkward or what. Women are a lot of work, yeah. DMK says, what about Terraria and Valheim? I'm back, by the way, made a new account. DMK, so you know, welcome back. And I am playing through my game library alphabetically, for the most part. Sometimes I have to double back because I got games that are earlier in the alphabet. But, you know, I have to go back. But yeah, so we're H and earlier. I think I might have Terraria, but I don't know about Valheim. Some women don't communicate well. Yeah, or they communicate differently. Like, I try to keep that in mind. You know, there's something called the double empathy problem. Psychology sidebar. There's something called the double empathy problem where people have difficulty communicating with people who have different communication styles than they have. So for instance, people with autism tend to be very direct in their communications. They tend to be literal. And people who are neurotypical tend to say things that they do not mean literally. They might be like, it might just be an expression. It might be that they're trying to be polite about something. Oh, you didn't know this was happening? Yeah. DMK, I think you used to watch back when I played Magic basically all the time. I still play Magic sometimes, but I've been doing this Unplayed series where I'm going through my entire Steam library and playing the games and then giving reviews on them. And through that, limiting the number of purchases that I make, because I used to have a very severe Humble Bundle problem, and also figuring out what I like so that the purchases I do make, I'm more likely to use and play and stuff. Metaphors and entendre, yes. Yeah, and it's not that I can't understand metaphors, it's that I sometimes miss them if I'm not looking for them. And let's see, Super Ace is also saying a couple things about Balatro. Balatro is a strong contender for best game in the Unplayed series to this point. A good way to compare them, Balatro is for people who want to break a game. Aces and Adventures is for people who just want to play a game. I guess that's true. Letters is a shortstop in a game playing for home runs. I don't know enough about baseball to get that metaphor. Shortstop is like between first and second base? So if the game is playing for home runs, then the outfielders matter more? Do I not matter? I don't know what you mean, I'm sorry. The outfielders see more action, yes. That is correct. So yeah, all that to say, Heaven Will Be Mine is just not for me. It's a visual novel, queer visual novel, has mechas in it, which is kind of cool, but I just didn't get anything they were saying. It was like all poetic and on another level, and I'm just like, nope. But then following that game, I played The Hex, which is by Daniel Mullins, who created Inscription, which is one of my favorite games that I've ever played. And The Hex was pretty good too. I actually played the entirety of it on stream in 8 hours, and it was great. I wouldn't say that it has replay value, but I'm glad that I played it. It was a cool story. It was cool with the different mechanics in the game. I don't want to say too much for people who have not seen the playthrough, but my entire playthrough is up. I would actually recommend that you, watch the playthrough a little bit, and then maybe stop and see if you want to get the game yourself. No, it is called The Hex. It is a game that somewhat defines genre, but it does not have cards in it. Super Bass says, you've never seen what happens when a team with bad shortstop gets someone who can key into that well and land a really crazy bunt. So, Hex was great. If you don't want to play the game yourself, my entire stream of it is on my YouTube channel. The next game I played was Hexceed, which was a free puzzler. It was Minesweeper, but a hex grid instead of a square grid. If that sounds interesting to you, download it. It's free. Free out of 10. But yeah, it was well made. I got to a point where I didn't really want to continue because it was starting to introduce too many, weird components. They have special tiles and stuff like that I wasn't super into. After that, we played Hue, which was a colorful puzzle platformer. There was more ask letters about gates. Oh yeah, the logic gates. That was funny. Are you thinking of Hecatomb? I don't know. I don't know what game you're thinking of, DMK. I don't think I know of a card game with either title. Hue was... I liked the puzzle aspect of it, how you had to change the color of the background, because when you... So, say you had some blue rocks in your way, you could change the background to blue, and then the rocks would be disappeared, essentially, because they're blended into the background. And so it's managing the color backgrounds in order to make objects appear or disappear. That's basically how it works. And it was cool until the platforming got too hard. I got stuck at a section that I just could not get past, and I was like, I've only unlocked 3 colors. I can't imagine how insane this gets when I unlock more. I am bad at platformers, and yeah, I probably won't continue that game because of that. And then finally, we had today's game, Human Resource Machine. I played it for more than an hour. I think it's one of the better programming games that I've played. But, yeah, I don't know if I'll be continuing with it after today. It's a puzzler, if you like puzzles. I do kind of want to know what's happening in the background. And I think that is the mark of a really good, a well-made game, is that it's like, okay, the story is enticing me to try to persist through the difficulty. DMK says, you play Heroes of the Storm? And she has not, despite your many attempts. Yeah, I'm mostly on Steam. I have not. I did used to stream from the PlayStation 4. I don't know how I would set that up again. It may be worthwhile to sneak Hearthstone in with the H's. Yeah. I had played Hearthstone a while back. I don't know if I have it in my unplayed queue or not. I do! It's under Unplayed Special. And I have a couple of Hearthstone videos. Hearthstone is a game that exists that people like. I like that it has many different aspects to it. It has the traditional kind of card game, like a Magic Arena or something, except that you get mana every turn, so you don't have to deal with lands, and you can attack creatures directly instead of always having to swing face, like in Magic. So those are kind of the two main differences. DMK says, I played Hearthstone for maybe an hour and then uninstalled. Hearthstone's constant timer can be really overwhelming for people who aren't used to a lack of tabletop to practice a game. Yeah. I just enjoy Magic better. So it's like any time that I would want to play on Hearthstone, I would just spend playing Magic. Conversely, my brother, who used to be a Magic player in like high school and stuff, is Hearthstone only now. So I think it just depends on what you like. There might be some people who play both, but yeah, try them both, see which sticks for you. I believe both Hearthstone and Magic Arena are free to play to start. So DFK says Magic's way better. I mean, I tend to agree, but it's a matter of opinion. You know, you won't be saying, oh yeah, Magic's way better when you're getting mana screwed or mana flooded. So, But yeah, I think that was the H's. Oh my god, I talked for a really long time about those games. I mean, there were a lot more of them than I expected because we took several detours when we were going through the H's. Modern Horizons 3 totally beefed your colorless EDH. Nice. Who's your commander? But yeah, I would say those are the games. I could run another little ad and then do some Magic. So I guess I shall be right back. Probably with a snack. That was an accidental rhyme. Karn, the mana producer, won. Okay. Yeah, Karn's a baddie. Not like a bad guy. I mean, like, he's strong.